Back to the PulseChain ecosystem, and I wanted to attack this right now because we are talking about current pricing and how things have gotten a little bit out of whack in a good way, depending upon how you look at it and if you actually do stake your HEX and stuff like that. But the hexes have both just been pumping, insanely hard over the last couple of weeks, all led by EHEX, which was awesome to see with the ecosystem coming back up, with EHEX really pumping the most at first and then everything kind of coming up with it. I was really intrigued. I know we mentioned him a decent bit. Hell, everybody does, so who cares? But Sami made a really good video the other day. And he pretty clearly, I think, holds a lot of liquid HEX. Now, everybody has a different, strategize however you want to. I mean, Ewok and I are both proponents of staking HEX. We're both staked out short, mid, long term. I think I'm probably more short term than you are, Ewok. I don't know. But we both are staked out pretty well. I know Briz in the chat is a big proponent of that. Some people just want to have, access to this ecosystem and just want to hold HEX. Some people want to actually stake HEX as it is meant to be. If you caught our awesome stream with RG3 last week, which was just great, he dropped all kinds of bombs. It was just fantastic. But he was talking a lot about the staking mechanism of HEX. And either way, we'll get to the actual staking part in a minute, but Sami was talking about how HEX has gotten, such a big pump lately that he's been rotating about a third of those funds or whatever he's had in HEX back into Pulse and PulseX because they have ratio-wise gotten so low against HEX that he wanted to put some of the value back in there. I can't argue with an idea like that. I mean, when you're seeing, a ratio value like that, why not do it? I'm not in a position to do it because I've just been earning yield on my HEX, as we get into the next bull market. But what do you make of that idea, Ewok? I know you yourself likely wouldn't do it and don't hold much liquid HEX either. But I think that just at the very least, if you are staked out kind of like we are, there's an opportunity here to really go hard on the Pulse tokens. I mean, specifically Pulse and PulseX, with how much HEX has kind of gotten an advantage on them recently. So what do you think about that? And is that something you would condone or you would do if you held a lot of liquid HEX?
I'm not going to tell anybody what to do with their own coins, but I wouldn't. I still think HEX is going to be a big winner this cycle. However, if you're man, it's tough. If you're ratio trading like that back and forth and you're keeping an eye on it and you're good at what you're doing, then sure. But I just worry that people are going to try and trade in and out and get chopped up and make the wrong choice just when something like they'll trade out of HEX and into something else, and then HEX runs, and then they're like, oh crap, I got to get back over. Excuse me, your camera went out.
I did that on purpose.
Oh,
I got nose cold issues. I don't want to see my snot rag on camera.
I gotcha. But yeah, so I mean, I just worry that people are going to make the wrong moves and lose on a position by trying to gain a position. It's tricky, and you just don't know what the market's going to do. So as far as that goes, if you really want to help the market, maybe put in some liquidity positions and use that money to buy some new, right? I mean, I think this whole ecosystem is going to do great. So again, if you just kind of sometimes just sitting back and doing nothing is your best move. It's when you try to make these things happen out of nowhere when you really didn't have to, is when you can get burned the most. And I hate to see that, especially with newer people. We kind of cater. I don't want to say we cater to the newer people, but we definitely try to help out some of the newer people and get them headed in the right direction and teach them the habits that promote longevity and delaying the gratification. And not so much the trading. Those are for other shows and the TA and all that good stuff. But I'm not a fan. Sami's been around a while. I know. I don't think he's been in this community forever since the beginning, but he has been around in crypto. He's definitely knows what he's talking about. So I just don't like when they say, "Here's what you should do," because it's not for everybody. So that's my opinion on it. Like me, I'll flat out say I'm staked 8.5 years is my average duration for my stakes. So
Girthy, girthy
Not a
stake length there.
not a yeah, I'm not a big liquid person at this point. I do have some stuff coming out, some bigger stuff coming out next year. So, I will have it available hopefully by the end of the cycle. But right now I'm gonna, take advantage of earning more every day.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, saw me somebody who's been around for a while and, is comfortable himself doing, ratio trades like that. But I mean, I think when you hear ratio trade, you think that that's like a common thing that people are doing very frequently. This was after like an insane pump, not that you necessarily can time these things when you'll ratio trade. It's more about a price difference that you yourself are comfortable ratio trading in. So that kind of thing I understand. But yeah, certainly if you don't have experience doing it, I wouldn't recommend it because
Right.
you're right, Ewok. I mean, we just saw it with this ecosystem pumping. I mean, things turn on a dime so damn quick in crypto
Yep.
that if you make a false move, whereas again, like you said, you could have just done nothing, you'd have been totally fine. So, I mean, I'm totally okay just earning yield on my HEX in the meantime. And when I'm DCAing right now, just DCAing it. And again, whatever you guys want to do, but I kind of maintain that 33, 33, 33 split between PulseX, and then HEXs combined. So I'm just going hard into Pulse and PulseX right now. And it's so funny too. And I said this to you, Ewok, and I'm sure you witnessed it as well. When you are staked out heavily with HEX, especially for like a HEX OG like yourself, you will see on a pump like that just how much HEX you hold. Because even if the whole ecosystem like pumps together, it's like you've been earning all this insanely cheap HEX just day after day after day after day. And when the prices are going down or stagnant, you don't really see that. But when they pump, it's like, holy shit, I was like 30% HEX. Now my portfolio is like 45% HEX just because of
it doesn't
that.
take much when you're earning, free stuff at 0.0003 or, or 0.003, whatever it is, 3 cents.
Yeah.
But when you get to a penny, your bag triples. It does really throw off your ratios, or no, not your ratios, but your balance of your portfolio quite drastically.
Right.
So yeah, it's interesting to see it. For me, a couple pennies means quite a bit at this point. So
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, let that be a kind of a lesson too. I mean, like, people are always going to, with how much this market changes, people are going to victory lap you and think that they had the right strategy or you had the wrong one at different points. Great saying is everybody's right about an investment thesis based on a moment in time. So you can say any kind of maniacal thing you want. At some point, you're right. So, yeah, just seeing, but you're right. Seeing all that yield pile up for HEX, and then when the price actually pumps, my God, you really see like the power of it. So,